You know what a ghost gun is? They're guns that are basically untraceable. There's like no record of them. You don't actually need a background check to buy them. And the LAPD, for example, says they recovered nearly 2,000 ghost guns last year. They were used in at least 24 homicides. So our team here at NBC News was wondering, how do you buy them? How long does it take to build one, right? Our own Vaughn Hilliard pursued an investigation on this. He ended up at a gun show in Pennsylvania last month to show just how easy it is to buy one of these. That's Vaughn talking with one of the sellers. And then the team found that all it takes to put it together is clicking on to YouTube, right? Getting on to look at a tutorial. I want to bring in Vaughn Hilliard now. Vaughn, I know you're going to have more on top story on this. Tell us a little bit now about the pursuit of this story and what it shows.
Right. Nobody can no longer claim naivety to the prevalence of ghost guns and the extent to which they have surged in our communities here. We've known about ghost guns now for a number of years, but what you are seeing, or what law enforcement are seeing, are a dramatic uptick in the number that are being confiscated and recovered from crime scenes. Just take Philadelphia. From 2019 to 2021, the number of recovered ghost guns increased 5 times here. And you can see, we were in Philadelphia this last month here and at a gun show. Went up and it was a simple cash transfer. There is no background check to purchase one of these. All it takes is that cash, no ID required, no background check. For all they know, I could have been a convicted felon, and they handed over that kit, then within just about an hour was able to be constructed into a ghost gun.
So, Vaughn, let me say this though, because you also caught up with one of the guys, I think the guy who had helped put this particular gun show together, and his point was, hey, nothing that they're doing is illegal here. This is not illegal.
Right. There's 40 states right now that do not regulate statewide ghost guns. Again, that means just 10 states have actually taken legislative action to address this here. I was talking with the Pennsylvania Attorney General, Josh Shapiro, who says, hey, look, we just want to be able to treat ghost guns in the same way that we treat another handgun, another firearm. Meaning if you go to that gun show, that you have to submit to a background check in order to take on and receive and acquire one of these kits here. But after we were leaving that show, that gun show, I was able to actually track down Jordan Monroe. He is the major ghost gun kit supplier in Pennsylvania. And after a little back and forth, he agreed to come on camera, in which I asked him about the prevalence of the ghost gun industry today. Take a listen.
No, because I'm not a criminal.
But you're essentially handing them a piece that they can build in a half an hour and turn it into a gun.
Yeah, you can get keys and a pack of Budweiser and drunk drive, kill somebody too.
Which essentially is his case for when I asked him whether he bears any responsibility when these guns get into the hands of convicted felons who, if they were to submit themselves to a background check, would not be able to receive a handgun otherwise. You just heard him there. He claims no responsibility.
Vaughn Hilliard, it's great reporting. We look forward to seeing more of it. I'm glad that you did it. Glad that you brought it to us, Vaughn. Thank you. Top story tonight, 7 o'clock. We'll look for you.
You good? You good? You good?
Yes.
For our records, your name is valid.
Jordan Vinroe, Jordanvinroe.
Awesome. You can just look at me. Who are you?
Look at you? Yeah.
Who are you?
Well, I own the shows,
Okay.
Eagle Shows, and a couple other firearms industry businesses.
Very good.
JSD Supply, Tatmos Arms.
Can you kind of set up for me here? There's a lot of talk about these 80% kits, and the legislature is expected to debate potentially outright banning them. As somebody who is a major supplier of these, why should they not ban these untraceable guns?
Yeah, so untraceable guns is a humorous term that you're using, I think, but
you can't trace them though.
Yeah, you can't trace stolen guns either, really. You can trace a firearm back to its last store-bought purchaser. So private guns are sold every day, so there's no tracing that either. And there's not inherently anything wrong with a homemade firearm. Serial numbers don't solve crime.
How about this? Why, folks who maybe don't understand this,
Yeah.
why do folks come to purchase these 80% kits?
Yeah, so it's freedom. It's an expression of freedom. You get to build a firearm for your own use. So without the potential of the government coming to seize it and take it. That's why a lot of people do it. Hobby. People enjoy building things, understanding how a firearm works, that sort of thing.
And so when, I guess the big question is, why not require background checks?
Because it's our fundamental right to have firearms. So there's restrictions on it that restrict our fundamental rights of having a firearm. It'd be the same as you going through a background check to record an interview or to publish a paper. That's your fundamental right to do that. It's the same with firearms.
But for most firearms, folks have to go through a background check, including here at the show.
Yeah, which is an infringement on people's rights.
So
from the
don't
onset.
you bear some responsibility?
I didn't do it. Just like Ford doesn't
But you're-
bear any responsibility.
But you're essentially
as far as rights.
handing them a piece that they can build in a half an hour and turn it into a gun.
Yeah, you can get keys and a pack of Budweiser and drunk drive, kill somebody too, and neither one of those are responsible for it.
When we've seen an increase in the percentage of confiscated guns at crime scenes being these ghost guns, these 80% kid-built guns here, does that not give you pause about your potential role in this?
No, I'm not committing any crimes, and I don't.
But you're making it easier for them to commit crimes.
No, I'm not. There's 5,000, regular firearms that were confiscated. I think in 2019 in Philadelphia alone, there was a couple hundred supposed ghost guns, if that's what you want to call it, or unserialized firearms. So out of 5,000, there's 200. So it's not. There's no rise in crime specifically related to that. When there's 5,000 other firearms that have caused.
But we've seen in Philadelphia the number of ghost guns being confiscated increasing by almost 500%.
Yeah, what's the real number? 1 to 5?
But that's a whole issue. By not tracing them, we don't begin to know how many of these guns and weapons are out on the streets.
That's the point.
You're all for the more of these ghost guns out on the streets, the better.
I think if somebody wants to own a firearm, then they should be able to do that. So if that means more, then yeah.
What led you to? I mean, you've got almost a monopoly in Pennsylvania, if I'm not mistaken, sort of on this here. You're the major supplier, but you also bought this gun show because the state attempted to try to keep these from being sold at show complex.
Right, so you just described another infringement by the government to block people from exercising their fundamental rights. I'm a businessman anyway, so I was interested in the gun shows before any of that happened. It's just another business that I own now in the firearms industry.
Does this, when we see Philadelphia have more than 500 homicides for the first time since the early 90s, does somebody, even this is your line of business, don't you stop and say, potentially increasing the number of these violent weapons on the streets is making our streets unsafer?
No, weapons aren't violent. You're violent. The person who uses it would be. Part of the crime issue is not keeping people in jail if they've committed a crime. It's not holding people, those people responsible. It has nothing to do with me or any of the other thousands of tables that are here and thousands of firearms that get sold.
What about kids under the age of 18, 14-year-old, 15-year-old?
Yeah, so if they complete it, that's illegal. So they're breaking the law.
But if you're providing them,
I don't provide them to children.
but you're providing them to kids.
No, I'm not.
Are you checking IDs?
So we check. You have to be 18 to purchase online. Through the website.
Here at the gun show?
Yeah, if they look too young, if they look borderline 20-ish, probably. Yeah, 21.
What do you say to federal government and states that are actively banning these gun shows?
I mean, they're restricting our fundamental rights to bear firearms. So it's incorrect, is my opinion, and probably everybody else in here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate you so far. Anything else that we should know?
No, I guess not.
PJ?
Yeah, what about states that where it's told, it's where the states are trying to, they don't want to stop it, but they hope to register these guns, and in California, for instance, if you build a gun like this, a homemade gun, you can, and I think the law is you have to apply for a serial number. You would know better than I. How about something like that, kind of a halfway point, like hobbyists can still do it, but it will just be registered?
Yeah, so registration leads to confiscation 100% of the time. And again, serial numbers don't solve crime. You want to put up statistics of 500% increase, but how many firearms crimes are solved by the serial number? Do you know any of those numbers?
But you can at least go back.
Do you know the numbers?
You can at least
though?
go back
But
and
do you know the numbers though?
Do you know the numbers?
No, but you're the one with the statistics about it, and it's very low. It's almost non-existent. Having serial numbers on a firearm doesn't solve crime. If you bought a firearm here today and somebody stole it out of your car next week, they trace it back to you. That's it. You're the last person that legally purchased that firearm through an FFL. Having that serial number didn't stop the next crime from happening. It's not going to stop the crime after that from happening. So the deal with serial numbers doesn't stop or prevent crime. Criminals steal, they use things incorrectly, and commit crime with that. It has nothing to do with the serial number or not. They also scratch serial numbers off. So there's a big portion of these supposed ghost guns that are being found that are scratched off serial numbers, ground off, whatever, defaced serial numbers, which is also illegal. So they're breaking the law by getting rid of the serial number on a serialized firearm. They're then breaking the law by using it in a crime, murder, whatever it is. None of that was stopped by a serial number. The firearm had a serial number on it. So it's a talking point that every firearm needs to have a serial number for safety.
Ultimately, though, essentially, you are working to make it easier for just about anybody to purchase a firearm.
I don't sell firearms, I sell parts. And I think that anybody that can own a firearm should be able to do that.
Can is by handing over cash. That means anything.
No, I don't sell firearms, I sell parts.
Parts that you can make a firearm within 30 minutes.
I can make a firearm out of something in Lowe's in 20 minutes.
That's awesome. Okay. I think that's.
Thanks for opening and
Yeah,
introducing
thanks.
yourself.
Appreciate that. Actually, can you stay right there for me, thank you? Just get a reverse shot since we're doing it.
So is this the first since you've had gun shows since you purchased?
Yeah, October. Purchase it, yeah.
But how are things going so far? This
Good.
is I'm just
Yeah. It's good. Everything's been good. Record attendance last year, or in December. Good attendance this year. So yeah, should be good.
What do you make of you good, PJ?
Yeah, just one more would be really good.
Okay. What do you make of the amount of focus that this has gotten, particularly on
If I can get you to just
Increased.
1 second. Yeah.
You can keep.
Which way?
This way.
This way.
That's good.
that
Perfect.
it's the increased amount of attention in the last 2-3 years? Because I'd imagine, though, that has to also be reflective of, I'd imagine, the number of purchases you're getting over the last 3 years.
Well, our market share has increased, yeah. I don't know, probably overall. I mean, guns are up anyway. The whole entire industry is up. I don't know the numbers, but a lot. There were, I don't know what the number was, it 8 million new gun owners last year or something like that. So the entire industry has increased. And it's all due to the political atmosphere. So if you're going to say you're going to take it, more people want it. It's the same with anything. So.
What percentage of that share do you think are these 80% built?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many firearms are sold. In general, I guess. I don't know. It's a lot.
Have you seen the demand for your supply going up?
Yeah. Everybody has. The entire industry, from springs and firing pins to.
Do you mind getting that on the reverse shot?
Sure.
BJ, real fast.
Let's do this as a solo because I got your question.
Okay. Have you seen a demand for your product, these 80% kits going up?
Yeah, the entire industry's gone up from everything: springs, firing pins, barrels, all the way to whatever.
Why is it?
Rifles, shotguns, everything.
Why is it?
Oh, it's political. Anytime there's political pressure against our industry, there's always an increase in purchases. Anytime there's a Democrat president, the firearms industry always increases, especially now when they're talking about banning things and changing the definition of firearms receivers and arm braces. So there's going to be huge demand until they do something. And if they would just stop talking about it, it would almost go away. When we started, it was very minuscule. So,
How many folks are you having to walk up to the table for the first time looking to make one of these?
I don't know. There's a good bit. I'd say 30 to 40% are probably first time. Yeah.
Are you concerned when individuals involved in drug-related efforts, gangs, are firing these weapons?
I mean, I have nothing to do with that. I don't know if you could sell drugs. I have no idea.
But aren't you concerned by that?
No, I don't feel that. That's not
No concern.
what we do. I mean, what concern should I have?
You're making it easier for individuals who maybe have been deemed to not be worthy of. Individuals that are maybe been determined by the government should not have firearms because of past convictions,
Yeah.
are able to then come and build a kit and build a gun just like that, and essentially become part of a.
Yeah, I mean, they're breaking the law again. But if they're out in the streets, then, I mean, are they that violent to begin with? If they're not allowed to own firearms, maybe they shouldn't be out on the street, is my personal opinion. But we follow all of the laws that there are, so if they don't...
Because you're following the laws right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Handing over those kits just for cash, that is by the books.
Yeah, it's like buying a lawn chair at Walmart. Buy a lawn chair in cash. It's not a firearm. It's parts. You buy any... Really,
Essentially,
any
it's easier to buy a lawn chair at Lowe's, or just as easy to buy a lawn chair at Lowe's as it is this.
Yeah,
And they're both legal.
Yeah.
Taco pizza.
Okay, I think we got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
We appreciate it. Do you guys have his contact? Or?